Hello guys, my name is Stefan Lindblad. I'm an illustrator, graphic designer and artist in Stockholm, Sweden, and welcome to this webinar about pattern fills and reports, which is another word for seamless textures. In front of you right now you'll see that I have open Corel Photo Paint. I'm also going to show you right now that I have another program underneath which is called CorelDRAW, of course. And what I want to do is to show you how we can use Corel Photo Paint X7 and CorelDRAW to work with creating from scratch a very simple image, making it into a seamless textures in Photo Paint to start with. And when that's done, we're going to move over to CorelDRAW. And if you are a previous user of Corel Photo Paint, you're probably going to see basically instantly now when I pick the fill tool and click here on the property bar on the edit fill icon. That will open the new, designed and improved edit fill dialog. And as a previous user, you now see that there's a bunch of features and tools that you can use, and you're probably going to be very happy about having in your arsenal now as a designer and illustrator. And up here in the corner you'll see that we have the uniform fill, we also have the fountain fill, we have the texture fill, and what we're going to work with today is the bitmap pattern fill in Photo Paint. And as you can see now, underneath here there's a pattern, and I've been using it, blending it. So it's a repeat pattern. It could look like the big window here in the fill picker, but I also used a few effects here with various blend transitions to get this blend going on here in the background. Now I won't show you how I made this leaf. I'm going to show you how I can do something with another image. So I'll start by closing this edit fill dialog and create a new image. So the way to create a new image in Photo Paint is very simple. You either use a shortcut key, or you go by the file, or just click the icon here. And I click the icon as you saw. So any day in the week when I'm doing a project, an illustration or whatever it is, or pattern, I'll name it right away here in the name where it's selected. And I also look down here to see that it's 300 dpi. Sometimes they are very rare, but sometimes I work with less than 300 dpi, but almost any day in the week, emphasize almost, I print in or write in 300 dpi. What we're going to do here now, because I'm going to make a pattern from scratch here, and I'm going to use the size of, well, let's use pixels as the measurement. And I'm going to make something that is in size 500 pixels by 500 pixels. Note that if you're going to make a pattern, repeated pattern, there's no law saying that you can only make it an even square, 5 by 5 or whatever. You can make it any size you want. But the trick then is, of course, to make it a seamless repeated pattern. And that's what this webinar is about, seamless patterns. So, and those you can do in any size, width and height you like. So, but I'll go with 500 by 500 pixels, and let's start to draw something. Okay, and here's our start for a new image. Open the object manager because I like to work with layers, so I can always go back and edit as I go. And I was thinking about what kind of image I would do, and I came up with well, you saw a leaf from the beginning, so I thought why not make something else, and we can work with the leaf later on in this webinar. So we'll do something very quickly. Let's see if we can draw something here now. We'll pick a black color and then just go by freehand, because I want to do something that looks a bit more, could go for adults but could also go for kids, and just make something. You'll probably soon gonna see what it is, and then we'll make a little thing here, a little thing here, and we'll make a little nose here. Now you start to see that it's something similar, looking like a person, and look a little bit angry, so we move that up a little bit, and then we're gonna make the goggles, so to speak. We'll settle with that, and then we just draw something here like that, and choose to keep that lighter area, so that could be like a reflection of something. Okay, now it looks a little bit more happy-going chap, and then we'll make the lip a little bit more defined there. I think that's kind of neat, isn't it? Should we do this into something, a color or something? Yeah, we can do that too. So we'll just pick a color here now and see which color we should use. We could go with this one here. Oh no, but let's pick the banana yellow. The word is kind of nice, so we'll color this with a banana yellow. To me, it doesn't look so much banana, to be fully honest. Or it's just my screen. Maybe it's more yellow on another one screen, but. So we'll do that here, and take another object, and then we check emerge mode and make a multiply effect on that one, and so we get a dark area down here under the eyes, so to speak. There, go with that. Actually, there was something down here, so I don't want that. I want it to be more inside the black outline. So maybe we can put some blue in there, why not? So we'll take another one here, and then we take blue there and just color that. I kind of like that the white goes through, is seen, so we don't have to cover it entirely. It gives a feel to that, doesn't it? So let's see this as our first design, and so now we just have to, as I said, so what we now have to do is to save this to become a pattern. What we have to do before we do anything like that, we have to select all the objects in the object manager. The background can be still unselected, but we have these four, and now we have to use the line and distribute Docker, a feature. You could actually put some of these icons, if you like, on the property bar, go by tools, customization, but I like to have the new Docker open like this. And so what we have to do now is, we could do it in two ways. We have to combine them to make them aligned and distributed, or aligned, I mean. So what you do now is to either use the new group and make them into a group, which is the one that I'm going to choose, or we use, still selected, use the combine and make it into one object. Regardless if which you use, it's going to be perfectly okay. So we go with the group and then go over to the Align and Docker again, and you'll see that I have the document center icon pressed down, and then while I'm going to press these two, just look at this one, what happens. You'll see that it's starting to align itself vertically and horizontally. So now it's perfectly aligned on the whole image with a white background. So now when we've done that, we have to do something with this rather cool guy in Google's colored bananas. So what we have to do now is to save it again, just as an original. So we're just gonna save it here locally, and yes, we're gonna replace that. And then we're gonna do a second save. And the second save is, it's not that we're saving once again the original image. What we're actually saving is saving via the fill tool, and go here to the property bar. We're saving it as the pattern. Now we'll see the leaf here. That's from the image that you saw in the beginning of the webinar. And so what we do now is we're gonna first open. Here's a little preview of the single drawing of a leaf that I done, and you see it repeated here. So we're gonna do the same thing with Google Bananas, and I'm gonna choose the PNG one because I saved it as a PNG as well. And it doesn't matter that it's PNG, it doesn't matter that it's actually too small in height and width, because we're not going to go to print with this one. If we're going to go to print, I would probably make it into a TIFF or something like that, and a very large image. But this is perfectly okay for this webinar, and we're doing it online. So, for online viewing. So, with this one here now is preview in a little window, and here you have it seen in repeated. We're not done here now, so here comes the save. So we click this one here, save as new. As I say, save and share the current fill. I'm not going to share it with anyone other than my client, if I had a client for this image. So I'm just going to save. English language is perfectly okay with me. I'm Swedish native, but English is what I use almost daily. So, and you can see here on the frame here, it says save pattern, and that's what we're saving, the pattern. So we'll save it as the Google's Bananas again, and then we click the OK button. This one now is not going to be saved in the same bitmap patterns folder, where I saved the original just a minute ago. This is going to be saved in a folder called fills. So on your computer, you just go to Corel, first document Corel, and then Corel content, and then you can see the bitmap patterns fills and the fills and all that. So you go for the fill if you want to go look for the dot fill image. But you don't have to do that now. So, and tags, you can write just about anything here in the tags, which will help you when you're going to search it on the content exchange. You can also choose a category here with the Corel content exchange. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to share it with anyone actually. I'm just going to have it on my computer locally. But this is where you save it if you're going to save it for use for people basically all over the world who use CorelDRAW or Photo Paint. So we just click OK here. And then if we now we could actually make look at this one here while I'm pressing this one here. It says mirror tiles horizontally and the other one is vertically. So if you look at this one while I'm pressing down, you see that they start to look at each other, the eyes. So I'm not going to keep any of these. I just want to show you how it works. This actually is too much white for my taste for this particular image. So I'll just remove that. I could also use any of the row offset and column offset. For example, I could, with that one selected here, if I said 66 for whatever reason, then you'll see that it starts to change itself here. And but I'm not going to use any of these. I'm just going to go with a 0. And of course I could do a blend here or with a radial or linear blend. I'm not going to use any of these either. One thing that I think is important in many images that we do is to keep it 100% match, and then just click OK when we're done in this dialog. Now let's see, now we have this image here, and this is the original. So what we now have to do is to start a new image, So I can show you how you make a repeat pattern in PhotoPaint. We're soon going to go over to CorelDRAW, but so I just want to show you very quickly how we can use the interactive fill tool on a pattern that we already created in PhotoPaint. And as you saw, maybe I made it into a A4 portrait size, still 300 dpi, because the image, the original that I've done, is in 300 dpi, so I follow that with all the way. So now let's see if we go with the so let's see how, now here's the fill tool again. So if you now would go with just a fill, and you see this, you don't see it, I see it, because I remember how it's going to be repeated now. And here's the repeated seamless pattern, a report, so to speak, and in PhotoPaint. And as I said, soon going to go to CorelDRAW, and we're going to use the same interactive fill tool in CorelDRAW as well as here in PhotoPaint. And this is a really, really good feature. You see how I can just rotate and do basically anything with it. Now I've just made it larger, so it pops up more towards us here in the, and so we could rotate it, of course, and give it a feeling of going that direction, diagonals. And then if you just leave it as that, and then just go here to the other side, outside, you'll just you can actually make it smaller here if you like. So you could actually use this one now to save this, and you could say I could save this. I'll save it as a blue bananas cover. What is that? That's that must be something else that I played around with earlier. Covers. We call it just covers. So we click a save on that, which means that I've now saved the fill in this image as an image in itself. So I could now open this in PhotoPaint, or in this case CorelDRAW, and maybe use it as a background for a book cover or a pillow or a blanket or something like that. But this is how we do it in PhotoPaint, and there are more things we could do, but for this webinar, and time is of essence, we'll move over to CorelDRAW. And here in CorelDRAW, I'm going to show you a basic way of creating a pattern. So we're going to select this rectangle with some sort of color. We'll use this one here, and then you see there's an outline, so we're going to remove that outline. The thing with this background here, you don't necessarily have to have this colored background, but for this exercise it's good to have it as a help as well, because what we're going to do now is to make a repeat seamless pattern like we did in PhotoPaint, but now we're going to do it in CorelDRAW. And what I do now is that I have activated here, if you go to View, Snap To, you see that I have selected guidelines and objects as Snap To. You can also, I think these are quite important. You can actually get them from here as well. I always work when I'm going to snap things. I want guidelines and objects to have a double security. And what snap is actually about is you snap an object to another object, or you snap an object to a guideline, which makes it easier and more precise when you want a thing like a seamless pattern, for example, to work perfectly. So we'll make this, no, we already changed that color. So we'll just write the letter A, and we'll color that A with should take that color. Yeah, we can take that color, and then we're gonna zoom in a little bit so we can see that, you see there's a curve here, so you just remember that later on if you so we'll just grab here in the corner of the A on the inside. It makes it easier for it to touch and connect with the rectangle there. And as you see here in the object manager, it's still a letter. So I'm going to hit Control key on the keyboard and make it into an object, a curve. So you see that it changed there. We see that the rectangle is still a rectangle. That's okay, but I'm going to hit Control and Q for that as well, so we have two curves. What we now going to do is to make this a repeat pattern in CorelDRAW, so you can use it on a textile, on a dress, or a blanket, whatever, or a website, or a book cover, is to mirror this A. So this A, which is in the inside, will repeat. So the outside A will repeat itself here, and that's very important. So especially if you have objects that have to overlap, so to speak, you'll understand what I mean in just a couple of seconds here. So we'll open the shaping docker that you can find here. I already selected that since previously when I'm working. So what we're now going to do is to use select the A, use the intersect, click the intersect button, and intersect it with a background. Now you see that the A is here, but there's no color to it, so we're just going to fill that. That's not a big issue. So and now we're going to select the background, and we're going to choose trim, and click the trim button, and we're going to trim it with the A on this side. What this means actually is that we now have two sides of an A as separate objects. We have one side here and one side here. Now I have to check, you know, we are humans, so we can sometimes make movements with the mouse, so when we intersect and trim and all that, we might sometimes move the A accidentally. We see that that is totally okay, totally tucked together. And now we're just gonna do one more thing. I'm gonna hit Control key, and I'm gonna move this one over here so it goes to in the same direction, and you see how it snapped, and that was easily done, and was very helpful to use the snap feature as well as holding down the Control key. That works very well for me. So what we actually have now here is a seamless pattern. It doesn't look much, does it? So what we're now going to do, we're going to add something more just for the design, so we have something more to look at. So we'll take a star, and this is the polygon tool, and we'll just make something here. That's a star, and the star I want you to have a first look, if you haven't had it already, of the polygon tool, and it's a fantastic tool in many ways. What now will happen is that when I add a node to this now let's see if we can actually, we'll do we do this instead. We'll there's the polygon. Sorry, I took the wrong one. So we'll do that again and make a color, and then we'll remove the outline. You can do that actually here just for the record if you haven't seen that before. If you click on the right click here, it will remove the outline as well. Just a little friendly tip. So we select that again, and then we have there's a node here, and now we'll add more nodes to it, and this way we're going to make a pattern. We make another node here, and let's see actually what happens with this one. So I have absolutely no clue as of now. So we're going to add a curve to this one here just for the sake of it, and then you see that something happens there. It didn't look that much, did it? No, so we remove that. Actually, it was actually better like that. It's kind of a edgy flower, and now we can just add something more, like this one here. We'll make that white, for example. See if you like that in the end. We can actually hold down the key here and see if we can pick another color. We'll make it like that. Okay, so let's say we set up with this as a pattern, and now we're gonna make it into a pattern fill. So we select that one and go to Tools here in the menu, click Pattern Create, and then Pattern Fill. This is a vector, so we click OK. And after that, we're gonna go here and hold down so it grabs the whole area, and then you see down here you click the Accept button, click that one. This will activate the Save Pattern dialog, and in the Save Pattern dialog it works the same way as it does in PhotoPaint. You name it and we'll say the A flower pattern, and we can tag it if you want, and we can share it with other people around the world if you like. We're not going to do anything like that right now. If you tag it, of course, as I said in the PhotoPaint, you actually make it more possible for yourself as well and others when you're going to search it in the Corel Connect or somewhere else. So we click OK on this one here. What we're now going to do, you see that this paper here, or this canvas, is an A4. So I know that I created earlier today an A1 size, and I also made a rectangle. So what I think we should do now is to fill this with our new created pattern. And now let's see, we'll select that again. And now when we've created a pattern, one thing to preview it and also make something out of it, of course, but to preview it, of course, is to use the interactive fill tool. And with the interactive fill tool selected, go up here in the property bar, just like in PhotoPaint, click the pattern, and because we already just created this pattern, it will be first in line, so to speak, so the interactive fill tool will automatically choose it. And then we have our famous little square down here. So now we can start to actually shape the pattern a little bit more if we want. So and now we can see it previewed. We can actually rotate it and work with it any way we like. And of course, the most important thing now, we have to see if this is actually a seamless pattern, and of course it is. So what we're going to do, we choose the magnifier, the zoom tool, and we zoom in and zoom in and zoom in, and as you can see, it's a perfect seamless pattern. Okay, fab, wasn't it? So just remove that one, and now you see we're without an outline. So what I now want to show you is if we used a intersect and trim way of doing a pattern design, I'll show you another way of doing it as well. So we'll create a new square. Now this time I'm gonna use a even sized square, and I'm gonna insert an image. I can use this PhotoPaint image, of course, or a TIFF, but for this one I'm just going to use the to import a PNG. It's pretty small, but just for the webinar it doesn't matter if it's small. It's not going to be that small if you're going to do an actual print, of course, but for the webinar anyway. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to use PowerClip. So I'll click the Shift key and just make it a little bit smaller, and then I'm gonna select both and then click C and E, making it center more in the middle. When that's centered a little bit more, we're gonna no, I took too much. I'm gonna take this one only, and then I'm gonna Shift key, and then I'm gonna drag it up a little bit. I think that's a little bit too much. We can actually change that as we go. Because I'm gonna make this into a power clip now, so it's easier to grab it. Anyway, so now what? Yeah, well, here's the thing. We'll take the text tool again, and on the new layer, doesn't have to be on a new layer, but just for the sake of it, I'm gonna make a plus sign. And we're going to color that into a blue, and we're going to place it on top. You see that it says edge, and that's actually on top of the so now it's centered, so to speak, to this outline here. And then I'm going to Control and then Control C and then drag it to the other side and then hook it to the outline there again. And now I'm going to select both of them, Control and Control V, and then drag it down and place it somewhere here. Let's see if we can just place it like that, something like that. And then we're gonna change those colors to green. So as you saw, remember we intersected and trim and then moved it and kind of cut it. So now we're going to use the power clip instead. So we're going to select these 1, 2, 3, 4 and the image itself. Right click if you have a mouse and you'll see the power clip inside. Choose that one, and because we have an area here, just click it and it becomes a power clip. And now we can actually edit the power clip inside if we like. They're still here intact, but and we can actually make them into curves. So that's done. And then click on this one here, stop editing content. So we can still edit things within the power clip, which is really good. And then we can remove the outline of the image here now. So to make this as a pattern, we'll do like we did before. We select, go to Tools, Create, Pattern Fill. I'll make this into a bitmap because the image here is a bitmap. So these plus signs are going to be converted into bitmaps later on. So we'll do like that, and then click on this one. You see that the accept button pops up again, and click that one, and now it says convert to bitmap. And what we're now converting is, of course, you're going to see it soon. So we can actually change it now. We are in RGB, so we don't have to change it, but we could actually do that as well. And click OK. Okay, because we're making this as a bitmap. And then we call it Goggles Bananas again, bananas, and with a plus, so we can easily find it, and click OK. And now we've actually made a pattern. So that done, we'll create something here. I think we should try to preview like we did before and just make a sort of a pillow. So we'll Control Q, make it into a curve, use the smear tool, and then just make the edges of the pillow. Let's say we have a pillow with edges, corners. Can actually make the tool a little bit bigger so we get a better effect like that. And of course this is just for preview, but we're going to make this look a little bit, so it's because of course you sometimes want to preview a product. Like if you work in the fashion and textile industry, you like to preview a little bit how this would actually look, and you might also send it as a composite to your manufacturer so they see how you were seeing this as with the print and everything. So with that done, we're just gonna click the interactive fill tool, click the bitmap, click the bitmap, there it is, okay, and then we're gonna select this one here. Something happened there. Sorry, there it goes. There was a lag there when I was. And now we can see we once again got the interactive fill, so we can actually drag it up into size, and this would be a nice cushion pillow for someone when they're going to bed or something like that. and then just see what, something like that, and then we can just move it around a little bit and see if we can maybe center it here or something like that. And then of course we can just I think we should make it a little bit smaller there, because if I was going to design this one, maybe I want to have to see them a little bit more, or something like that. So there we have our repeat pattern on a pillow. And with this one, as you remember, I made this one, draw this in photo paint, I brought it into CorelDRAW, and I brought it in as a non-finished pattern. I created it to a new pattern together with these ones. So this would actually work if you have a drawing or something like that, and I'll show that. I could show another example of that as well, of course. But this was one way of actually working with power clip instead of trim and intersect. So now I want to show you how we can use a vector pattern, another vector pattern, and put that on a t-shirt or something. And what I'm now going to do is to quickly import an image, a PNG file format, and it's of a picture that I've done myself. I'm going to click down the shift key and make it smaller. I made this maybe a year ago for a webinar, another webinar I made for Corel, and in that webinar I showed you how to make your own customized brushes using photo paint. And now I'm going to auto trace this using the raw power of Corel's power trace here inside CorelDRAW. So I go through via trace bitmap, outline trace, and then line art. I'm not going to choose high quality image because that's going to increase heavily on the amount of colors that you can see here and are now part of this image. This above is the original PNG, and this one is the new one that I'm going to work with. So it says 9. Well, that's just an amount of colors. What I'm also want to do is to group objects by color, and it's already enabled, and sometimes you can just keep it disabled. I'm also have delete original image, which means that when I've made this, let this process, you'll see that the PNG is nowhere to seen anymore, and now we only have the vectorized image. I said 9 colors, and I said that we will have more objects and curves, but just imagine, had I not chosen line art, I would probably have even more objects here. And because I grouped them, it's going to be easy for me now when I like to group these and weld them. And for each group objects holding many curves, I can easier control them and weld them together. Now there's probably even faster way of doing this, but I use this method because usually I don't sit and talk for myself when I'm creating, but usually what I do then is to actually look at the image and see what happens with the image, and it's a creative process. We all work differently, so I get time to look at this image while I'm welding these together. So it's see it as you painting a big oil painting, and you take a few steps back so you can look at your painting a little bit from afar. It gives you a better impression of what's good and what's bad with it, and how it progresses, and how the composition is. And that's actually what I'm doing now. So I'm just, while I'm welding these together. So there's quite a few objects here that I'm welding together. So I'm already actually getting a sense of what I want to keep and what I want to remove. And from having way many objects and curves, and maybe I've started out with somewhere between 150 and 200 curves, we are now only having 8 curves, 8 objects. So I'm going to right click and choose ungroup all objects, and here's an object that I actually want to remove. I could actually keep this because it actually does look really cool to have this one, but I'm actually going to remove that because I want to do more things with this one, but because I have a thought about this image. I also see that this object here, which we can now see selected here, what I want to do is that I want this color to flow over to this little object here as well, because I don't want to have too many colors going on here. So what I'm now going to do is just choose the eyedropper tool, pick the color here, and then hover over here and pour the bucket with paint, and that actually put them both together. So now we have these two, or maybe that's the one. Let's see, we can actually remove that one, I see. So now we have these two, and then we just weld them, and that means that we now have those two together, as you can see. Cool, isn't it? It's a very, very good tool, this eyedropper, color eyedropper, which is the one that I used. So now all this done in just a few minutes, and it's going to go faster if I'm not talking while doing this. Even I'm now going to create a pattern of this, and I've shown you how to do that before, so I'm going to do basically the same thing again. I'm going to select all objects, and then I'm going to go to Tools, Create, Pattern Fill. I'm going to choose Vector, click OK, and then I'm going to pick with the crop tool here, and click the Accept button down here. And we're waiting for the little dialog while it's processing it. And there we have it. Here we have the Save Pattern dialog. Sometimes it goes fast, sometimes it doesn't. So we call it Flower Red Gray. I'm not gonna, usually I actually do write a few tags here so I can quickly find it through Corel Connect or something like that. But I'm not going to do it. I'm going to save a little bit of time for this webinar. And I could, if I would, but I don't want to. Basically never share my original work because I work towards corporate clients. But if I would, I could click share this with content exchange and then pick category and place it there. But I'm not going to do that. Would I do it? It would mean that I would share it with the world to use it under the Creative Commons license. So, but I'm not going to do that now. So, and this, of course, as I said before, it's going to save it to the fill folder. So we click OK there. So I'm going to open a new image here now. I'm going to open this one. Yes, that one. As you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. It's the same t-shirt or short sleeve shirt. I'm just going to close this flower here. So imagine you're working as a fashion designer or textile designer, whatever, and you are working on a collection, and you want to have maybe the same pattern, but you also want to change the layout of the pattern. Maybe you want to have different colors on the pattern, and maybe you want to have different colors on each shirt. And one thing that is good, of course, is if you can have all these up at the same time, and maybe you can even work with an extra external screen, so you can actually just drag this one over to the other screen. And one thing to do this, of course, is to use now let's see here, the object's properties here. Docker, and there's quite a few good things happening in this Docker. So what I'm now going to do is that show you how all these individual shirts now are divided into each objects of themselves. So what I'm now going to do is to, for each one of these, I'm going to start by, let's start with number 1, and then I'm going to paste one flower here. What I can actually do to have even more control over the whole thing is to call this pattern 1, paste that inside there, and then I'm gonna make another pattern 2, pattern 3, pattern 4. Okay, so we're just gonna zoom in a little bit. I'm gonna drag in some guidelines so I can visually divide them a little bit faster. And now, as you may already have noticed, this one here, which I made previously, I added some textures, as we can see. And now I'm gonna stick to this one here, and I'm actually gonna copy and paste that into pattern layer 2, and then we just make that a little bit smaller, and copy that, put it on 3, move it to the side here, and select 4, paste, and then we have it. So now we have one pattern for each shirt. So what we now will do is to select this one here and fill it with this black pattern here. See what happens. Oh, there it is. So we already have this one here, and I think this is kind of neat to have it like that. And now, as a designer, thinking, well, I'll put the red one here and see what happens. So I'm going to select that one here, go over here, up here, see if I can find that red one. Oh, there the red one is. So let's say we decided that we think this looks good, and then now we have this red one right here. So we're gonna color it a little bit with some other colors and see what happens. Actually, we put that one there as well. So now that is a shirt. But the thing is here now is that when I go back here now, I see that I want to do something more to that one. And I've already done this one here, and I'm actually going to color this into a pink. So suddenly I have the same pattern here, but I've actually edited them both. And this one I suddenly feel that I want to write something on it. So I'm just going to write a classic word, rock. And then I'm going to select the type font. Yeah, we'll take that one. And then we'll click a color. We can take this color, and we'll place it right on top of it. And then we're going to rotate a little bit like that. And then Control Q to make it into an object. Okay, so we have that one here, but we're actually going to place that on the right pattern layer. So we put that again there. So, what do we do now? Suddenly, we have we've actually added something to this pattern here, and there's another pattern here. So, one beautiful thing to do that is to go over to the object properties. So, what I do now is to select the shirt, move over here to where it says New from Document, place the cursor and the crop, click Accept, and you have your new pattern here inside the shirt. Kind of neat, isn't it? So what we're now going to do, we're going to use the interactive fill tool and see if we can do something more with that. Yeah, so we'll see if we can get the word right. We'll move that a little bit, make little changes, which is kind of neat. The only thing now is that I don't want to have anything here. So what do I do then? Well, we select the shirt again, go to New from Document, and we add more white to this one here. See to that nothing that you don't want to have as a pattern is caught by the crop. So we click Accept, and suddenly we have it there on the side up there. And we can actually settle with that, of course, but with the interactive filter, I'm just going to move that down a little bit. And suddenly I have my rock shirt there. So now we have a pattern. And if you want to do it to be extra sure that we keep this one, of course we can always go to Tools, Create, and Pattern Fill, and see to that you have it saved where we usually save it. And while we're processing this, actually I have to do like that. Click that one. Save it as flower black rock. Save that, and it's securely saved, so I know that the pattern that I created using this function here actually saved the pattern. But I also saw too that it was saved in a folder where I want it to be saved. So we can do the same thing here with this one here. So we're just gonna select the shirt. It comes up with that pattern, but it doesn't matter because we choose this one here. And then we're gonna select with the crop tool, click that one, and it fills the shirt. So we do the same thing with this one here. We go to the pattern there, click New from Document, click this one here, we add some more white. I don't know why, maybe it feels good. So put that down over there. Now, if I want to add some more here, not just text, I want to, for whatever reason, I want to add, well, let's say, rock the flower. And I want to have this as well. Now let's see. We choose that as with another type font. And then we choose a 2-point line. We make like this. Put on the curve like that. And we make an outline. Sorry. And now we're gonna add more to this actually. So we're gonna select the text, go to text, pick text to path. Okay, I had a little look here. I see that it's a little bit chunkier. So what I'm now going to do is to go down to maybe 72. That looks much better, doesn't it? So I can now actually just add, I could actually grab this one and go back and forth, but I'm actually make it gentle and see what happens. Yeah, I just pressed went up another 10 from 72 to 82, and that looks really, really good. So what I'm now going to do is that I'm going to select here in Object Manager both the curve and the artistic text. The curve is actually the outline that I made with the two-point line tool. Sorry. So now I want to break these apart because I don't want to have that outline there. So I'm going to, with those two selected, it's very important that those two are selected at the same time. Then go to Object. And if you have an older version than X7, it's probably going to say Arrange up here. But break text apart. And then select this one here, up, move, and click OK. So now the text is still editable, but I'm not going to edit as text as such. I'm just going to make it into cursor. Press Ctrl Q, and now it's a curve instead with objects. So I'm gonna ungroup those two and weld them, and then I'm actually gonna just pick a color. Let's go with a pink. With that one here, we're gonna select the shirt again, go back to our favorite little tool here, and grab, so we have some space around this one here, click accept, and there we have a new shirt with a new design, and we also have a new texture. Again, I'm gonna make that a little bit smaller, and there we have it. Now this is a very good way to work with when you are working on a collection. So with 4 t-shirts, within a few minutes I've made 4 different designs, and that is possible now with the new features in the object properties docker. So I had a lot of fun with this new object properties fill features, and I guess you will have too. And with that, I'm ending this webinar. I hope you have enjoyed this, and I hope you have learned quite a few tricks on how to work with pattern fills and reports using CorelDRAW and PhotoPaint.